नमस्कार. आयच्या खाशेल्या ब्रेकओवरात तुमकां सगळ्यांक येवकार. म्हाका दिसता अख्खें गोंय दिगंबर कामतीच्या एंटिसिपेटरी बेलाचेर कितें ऑर्डर येता आनी ती आज येता काय फाल्यां येता अशे मनस्थिती भितर आसा आनी प्रत्येकाची नदर जी आसा ती कोर्टाची प्रोसिडींग्साचेर चल्ल्या. सो आमी डिसायड केलें की वील कम विथ दी स्पेशल ब्रॉडकास्ट, अ स्पेशल पॅनल टू एक्सप्लेन वॉट इज हॅपनिंग सिन्स मॉर्निंग, वॉट आर दी आर्ग्युमेंट्स ऑफ डिफेन्स, वॉट आर दी आर्ग्युमेंट्स ऑफ प्रोसिक्युशन आनी एक परिस्थिती जर पळयली कोर्टातली जाल्यार कितें जावपाक शकता, वारें खंय वचपाक शकता आनी ताजी पॉलिटिकल इम्प्लिकेशन्स कितें. ह्या सगळे गजालींचेर आमी भासाभास करतले. म्हजे बरोबर 3 पॅनलिस्ट आसतले. 2 ऑलरेडी पावल्यात. तिसरो पॅनलिस्ट कोर्टाक आसा, कारण आयच्या पॅनला खातीर आमी 2 आदवोगाद हाडटात आनी सो दॅट दे कॅन एनालायज पॉयंट बाय पॉयंट वॉट हॅज हॅपन्ड इन द कोर्ट काबार करून तो आदवोगाद आमकां जॉइन जातलो. पण सद्याक 2 पॅनलिस्ट आसा म्हजे बरोबर. पयले आसात जे फाटले 2 दीस आमचे बरोबर हाजे एनालिसीस करतात ते सिनियर लॉयर अमित बाब पालेकर. स्वागत तुमचें. आनी दुसरे आसात म्हजे बरोबर सोशल एक्टिविस्ट आनी राजकारणी डॉक्टर ऑस्कर रिवेलोस. आनी तिसरे क्लिओफास बाब कुतीन, सिनियर एडवोकेट, आनी थोड्याच वेळा भितर आमकां जॉइन जातले. हांव जस्ट ब्रीफ हे सांगतना इतलेंच सांगता की सकाळीसान कितें आर्ग्युमेंट्स जाल्यात ते. दिगंबर बाबान जे काल जो सगळ्यांत व्हडलो पॉयंट काडिल्लो, जी फायल क्रायम ब्रांच मिसींग असं म्हणटा आनी ती ट्रेस करपा खातीर आपली कस्टोडियल इंट्रोगेशन मागता. एज पर दी RTI रिप्लाय प्रोवायडेड बाय PWD ती फायल क्रायम ब्रांचीन व्हेल्या. सो फक्त आपल्याक कसो तरी करून लॉकअपां घालपा खातीर ह्या आर्ग्युमेंटाचो क्रायम ब्रांच उपयोग करता, हो ताणें आर्ग्युमेंट घाल्लो. दुसरो जो आशिल्लो की जरी मॅजिस्ट्रेटा मुखार कांय विटनेसांनी आनी एक्युजडांनी कन्फेशनल स्टेटमेंट्स रिकॉर्ड केल्लीं आसलीं तरी ती तांचेर दबाव घालून रिकॉर्ड केल्यात आनी ताका कांय अर्थ ना असोय ताणें आर्ग्युमेंट घाला. आनी त्याच बरोबर आपूण कॉपरेट करता, आपूण जेन्ना जेन्ना आपयला तेन्ना तेन्ना क्रायम ब्रांची भितर गेला. सो आपल्याची कस्टोडियल इंट्रोगेशनाची गरज कितें हेंय ताणें सांगलां. सरकाराची आर्ग्युमेंट जे आसा प्रॉसिक्युशनाचे ते दनपार स्टार्ट जाले आनी ताणें 3 मेजर मुद्द्यांचेर भर दिला. पयली गजाल की वाचा सुंदरान आपल्या मॅजिस्ट्रेटा मुखार दिल्ल्या स्टेटमेंटा भितर मान्य केला की दिगंबर कामत आनी चर्चिल आलेमांव हांणी दबाव घाल्ल्यान आपणे लुईस बर्जराच्या अधिकाऱ्याक लाच दिवपाक लायली. त्याच बरोबर जो सत्यकाम मोहंती आसा, फॉर्मर कंट्री हेड ऑफ लुईस बर्जर, ताणें बी सांगला की लाच दिवपा खातीरचो पयसो अमेरिकेसान भारताक आयिल्लो म्हणून. आनी त्याच बरोबर दिगंबर कामत असो इन्फ्लुएन्शियल मनीस, ताका जर भायर दवरलो जाल्यार ताका तो विटनेसाक अफेक्ट करपाक शकता. आनी बाकीच्यो ज्यो गजाली आसात आनी क्रायम ब्रांचीन जो RTIचो आर्ग्युमेंट आशिल्लो दिगंबर कामतीचो तो परत ताजे अगेन्स्ट यूज केला की अशें कांयच नासतना, क्रायम ब्रांचे कडेन फायल नासतना सुद्दां दिगंबर कामत इज सो इन्फ्लुएन्शियल दॅट ही कूड गेट अ RTI रिप्लाय ऑफ हीज ओन डिझायर. ताका जाय तसो जाय त्या शब्दा भितर RTI रिप्लाय काडून घेवपाची तांक ताजे भितर आसा. इतली ताजे बरे कॉन्टॅक्ट आसात. सो जेन्ना तो हें करपाक शकता तेन्ना तो ह्या केसींतलो खंयचोय विटनेस आनीक मटेरियल एविडन्स इन्फ्लुएन्स करपाक शकता. तेन्ना ताजी कस्टडी जाय क्रायम ब्रांच म्हणटा. नशिबान म्हाका दिसता अमित कोर्टात आशिल्ले थंय आर्ग्युमेंट चलतना थंयच्यान ते स्ट्रेट हांगा आयल्यात. अमित बाब, वॉट इज युअर इम्प्रेशन? यू हर्ड दी आर्ग्युमेंट्स. कितें दिसता वारें खंयचे दिशेन व्हांवता?
मॅटर सबज्युडिस आशिल्ल्या कारणान वारें खंयचे दिशेन व्हांवता तें एक्झॅक्ट आमी सांगपाक आनी उत्तर ताचेर दिवपाकूय बरोबर न्ही. बट जो आर्ग्युमेंट जो डिफेन्साचो जो आसा पळय, वायल आर्ग्युइंग फॉर एप्लिकेशन फॉर बेल, वॉट ही हॅज पुट फॉर्थ इज ही इज ट्रायंग टू पुट फॉर्थ फ्लॉज इन इन्व्हेस्टिगेशन. द बेसीक फ्लॉ तो म्हणटा की आपल्याक RTI इन्फॉर्मेशन दिला की ही फायल आसा, crime branch says that we have not attached that file, we have to recover it. So he is trying to say that they are trying to suppress something. But हातूर 2 गोष्टी आसा. एक म्हणजे प्रायमा फेसी केस एक ओपिनियन जाल्लें आसा. नाव वेदर कस्टोडियल इंटरोगेशन इज नेसेसरी. Custodial interrogation is necessary when this type of things usually happens. So it is a double-edged weapon. In fact, ताणे ते अशें केले कापतले अशी परिस्थिती जावंक शकता. In that situation, आता जी अशी परिस्थिती क्रायम ब्रांच म्हणटा की हे ताणे रिपोर्ट जो केलो तो आपल्याक जाय तसो केलो, ही इज इन्फ्लुएन्स फॉर दॅट रिपोर्ट. नाव दॅट इज प्रिसायजली इन डॉक्युमेंटेशन. नाव क्रायम ब्रांचीची केस फायल आसता तातूंत भितर ते डॉक्युमेंट ना. ही द मेमो ऑफ अटॅचमेंट इज नॉट टू हीज नॉलेज. आणि the officer has said that it is a mistake that we have done it. Now that argument that's why it goes off. It doesn't remain to be a very strong argument. And of course influencing another government servant who is still in service is another aspect of it. But whether there is failure of government or he can be a witness to that, whatever may be the set of circumstances, जे document crime branch कडे जे आसा आता ते डॉक्युमेंटाच्या बेसिसाचेर there is a prima facie case which can be formed. And that is why they are rightly pushing for custodial interrogation.
सो तूं म्हणटाय सद्याक जे प्रोसिक्युशनाचे आर्ग्युमेंट आसात ते पळयल्यार दिगंबर भितर पडूं येता.
There is a strong case for.
There is a strong case. Okay.
There is a strong case.
दोघी जाणां आतां अशी पॅनलाक हांव तिगी जाणां दोतोर म्हणपाक शकता, कांयच प्रॉब्लेम ना. बट दोतोर वॉट इज द फील यू आर गेटिंग? तातूंत भितर एक आर्ग्युमेंट आयलो की जेन्ना राजीव गोमसा सारके मनशाक सरकार स्पेशल पब्लीक प्रॉसिक्युटर म्हूण अपॉयंट करता, हू इज स्टॉन्च एंटी दिगंबर, हुज पॉलिटिकल एम्बिशन्स आर क्वायट नोन नाव. That means government itself is making it political now. That you are pitching a strong advocate against Digambar who wants to contest against him. So how are you looking at it? Merits of the case in terms of criminality and politics.
See, Pramod, I tend to agree that to a great extent this is politics being played out at its best by the BJP. Because as I call it, they've got two conveniently corrupt crooks. If there was, at any point of time there was a kind of an indication that probably Churchill and Digambar had shown an inclination that if they would want to join the BJP, and the BJP would have said that these are not corrupt, these people are completely bathed in the holy Ganga, and therefore, nothing is really wrong with what they did, like they have done with Movin. So that this is a political game is obvious to a certain extent. But the flip side is that in the minds and the eyes of the public, general public, these are not two innocent birds who are undergoing some kind of punishment over here. I think the vast majority of Goans, even if they've got a soft corner for Churchill, even if they've got a soft corner for Digambar, they've taken favors from them, even their constituents, even their voters, deep down will say, Fawa Anka. Oslo matse ek dokko padpa jai. Because clearly the 2012 mandate was against the corruption and primarily against the, palpable corruption of the family Raj that Churchill epitomized the best, or that the mining scam which Digambar sort of supervised and lauded over. So in many ways, even if one sees it as a political gimmick or one sees it as a political game, well, not a gimmick, but at least a political game that is being played out, very clearly somewhere I think the people of Goa are very happy at the turn of events. The second very important thing that I think which has to be highlighted and which I think the people of Goa, the activist class, the civil society and indeed the entire citizenry should really take up is the fact that if caged parrots of the police department are allowed to be set free, this is the way they do policing and this is the way they actually solve a crime, which is exemplary. This has been a stellar performance by the police, but this is because it suits the party in power, and the party in power has actually told them to go free. So I think what our demand should be from now on is to genuinely keep the police free now of all political interference, and this is a classic example.
Every case is investigated with the same zeal.
Absolutely, of course, this is like it's easier to sort of I don't know, get diamonds out of God knows where, but it's obviously going to be very difficult because the police is always a political pawn in one way or the other. And yes, if the police could perform like this, how they perform in civilized democracies of the West, where they're completely free of political influence, this is the result that we get, and we'd really be happy because this would take care of corruption.
What was this argument? The same argument, and just लोकांक ती क्लॅरिटी मेळपा खातीर आमी सदांच म्हणटात की अंडर सेक्शन 164 ऑफ CRPC मॅजिस्ट्रेटा मुखार रजिस्टर केले, सो इट कॅरीज मोर वेटेज. पुलीस लॉकअपा भितर तूंय रजिस्टर केले, इट कॅरीज लेस वेटेज. And now police are also putting forth that argument in the court that these are the statements, confessional statements recorded before the magistrate under section 164 of CRPC. What is the difference and why that statement before magistrate becomes all the more crucial in the court of law?
See, Kashas, the statements before the police, the Indian policing system and Indian criminal jurisprudence is such that statement made before the police is not admissible as evidence. It cannot be used against the witness. आणि जो स्टेटमेंट मॅजिस्ट्रेट समोर जाता, the magistrate is supposed to be an independent person. He is supposed to be an independent person irrespective of the policing or the politics or whatever the reason. So there is specific provision under CRPC 164 केला where you can make a statement before the magistrate, and that is supposed, it is an independent statement because it is recorded by an independent person.
Assume that you are not giving that statement under duress.
Absolutely, because who is going to put duress on the magistrate? If there is duress, it has to come from police, and they are judges. They are not laymen or government controlled authorities.
याक हांगा जो दिगंबराचो आर्ग्युमेंट केला सकाळी तो हो हा की जे ऑफिशियल्स आशिल्ले लुईस बर्जराचे इन्क्लुडींग वाचा सुंदर जायकाचो प्रोजेक्ट डायरेक्टर फॉर्मर प्रोजेक्ट डायरेक्टर they are pressurized by the crime branch to give specific certain statements in police custody, which has eventually led to they giving desirable statements in front of the magistrate. Can that argument be a valid argument while arguing on the bail plea of Digambar?
पहिली गजाल, when they are in the custody of police, they can be asked to give whatever statements or rather whatever could be made as a statement and got it signed. But Jenna, when the statement under 164 is being recorded, the statement is recorded by the magistrate.
Correct.
There is no influence of any police officer. In fact, all are kept out. So magistrate is entitled or rather would ask all that questions that are necessary to get out the truth. एक brief idea दिल्ली असता की this is the thing and these are the statements which are to be recorded. So it is an independent statement, and in terms of law there is no presumption, or rather there is a presumption that it is recorded as per the say of the person who is making such a statement, without any influence.
सर एक गजाल
No, but I think I want to intervene in this, Amit. I think the question that Pramod is asking, which has really even affected me. Now, you take the case of Vacha Sundar. Vacha Sundar is under police custody. Now, clearly, Vacha Sundar is also party to the crime in many ways, and he's been made a kind of an approver. So, what Pramod is trying to say is, in any case, Vacha Sundar, when he goes and makes the statement in front of the magistrate, is going to be something, presumably, that the police has coached him into saying, or against the two.
Or it can be a very जसे दिगंबर बाबा आर्ग्यू केले की तुम्ही वाचा सुंदराक भितर घेतलो ताजी बरोबर तुम्ही सेटिंग केले
independent witness, sort of disassociated from the crime.
Correct, exactly. What I am trying to tell you is, आमचो judicial system is such, or rather the criminal jurisprudence is such, approver जो आसा पळय, approver is part of the crime. Now, when there is no independent evidence, sometimes it is necessary that you make one of the accused as an approver, not that it gets him separated from the crime, but it helps the investigating authority.
When the accused makes a statement,
as an approver, it is
crime branchीन ताजे बरोबर डील केला असतली की तू मॅजिस्ट्रेटा मुखार स्टेटमेंट रेकॉर्ड कर, आम्ही आनी तुगे पुलीस कस्टडी मागनात, ताजे उपरांत तुजी बेलाकी आम्ही ओपोज करनात, but you have to go and give a confessional statement. That's the argument coming from Digambar Kamat's side.
Maybe, but law provides for it. Approver म्हणजे कितें आसा, legally admissible evidence what he gives is admissible evidence, आणि खंय तरी तो evidence जो दिता पळय, that is going to be used against others, and it is deal. Of course, it's a deal. In a crime where there is no independent evidence, that is why it is provided for under law that an approver can give evidence.
तर ही गजाल दिसता जे मोहांतीचे स्टेटमेंट आसा किंवा वाचा सुंदराचे स्टेटमेंट आसा किंवा लुईस बजाराचे बाकीचे ऑफिशियल्साचे स्टेटमेंट आसा, that has created the biggest problem for Digambar Kamath. त्या ज्या परिस्थिती भितर तांणी दिले चर्चिल आलेमा इज ऑलरेडी इन पुलीस कस्टडी, तागे बाबड्याची जाणटेपणा लागून त्रासही खूप झाले, पण ती पुलीस कस्टडी रे त्रास जावचे म्हणूनच लोकांक व्हरतात. बट इन दॅट सिनारियो दॅट इज समथिंग विच कॅन रियली गो अगेन्स्ट दिगंबर कामत in this bail plea.
Yeah, I think the circumstantial evidence, I don't know, to a layman like me, the circumstantial evidence is pretty damning, right? What tends to happen is if there has been, I don't know, again, the lawyer would have to correct me, but to actually prove that there has been a money trail in terms of from the Louis Berger account to maybe an offshore account, from the offshore account into some either Digambar's account or Digambar's relatives account or Churchill's account, Churchill's relatives account. If that money trail was provided, obviously then the case was cut and dry. But here, according to everyone, there has been a cash transaction. So cash transaction, it falls flat. You can't really prove that the cash transaction actually took place unless you have witnesses and unless you have a camera or something that shows that the cash transaction took place.